everybody, I'm Joyce Conway. Can you believe that we're almost halfway through the competition? I'd like to send out a special congratulations to the A-Team, April and Annette, for doing just such a great job on their videos and having such wonderful personalities. If you happened to catch my video last week, then you all know you're invited to my Philly on the Patio party. I think it would be just wonderful if we could get everybody who's in this competition together and have one just big giant Philly fest. But since that's not a possibility, I decided to have my Philly on the Patio party be a culmination of the last 4 weeks of competition. So each week, the submission I send in for the appetizer, entree, side dish, and dessert are going to be the dishes that I'm going to be serving at my party. So once the competition is over, I'm going to actually have a Philly on the Patio party with my friends. And so I'm sending out a challenge for all of you to have a Philly on the Patio party, or a Philly on the beach party, or a Philly on the deck party. So it'll be a lot of fun after the competition to share pictures and stories and so on. But first things first, this week's submission is desserts. And we all know that Philadelphia cream cheese makes wonderful, wonderful desserts. And today I'm going to make a dessert for you that's not only easy, but it's beautiful, delicious, and it looks like you bought it in some really expensive bakery. So let me show you how to do that. The name of my dessert is a very berry pound cake with a strawberry cream cheese frosting and strawberry whipped cream. The first thing I'm going to do is make a strawberry puree, because we're going to use that in several different parts of the recipe. So into the blender goes 20 ounces of fresh strawberries, which have been cleaned and cut in half, as well as a fourth of a cup to a third of a cup of sugar. So once you get that in your blender, you want to mix it up with a wooden spoon. Just give it a good blend till it's nice and smooth. So once we have that completely blended, I'm going to pour it in this little pitcher, because we're going to use that throughout the recipe. The first thing I'm going to do is make the frosting for the pound cake. And I'm going to add to the mixing bowl 1 stick of butter and 2 8-ounce tubs of strawberry Philadelphia cream cheese. Then I'm going to cream that till it gets nice and creamy. To the Philadelphia cream cheese butter mixture, I got that nice and creamy, and then I added about 4 cups of powdered sugar. So I'm going to whip that together and see how we're doing. I guess we're doing a little too fast. Well, I ended up putting about another half a cup of powdered sugar in with the frosting, whipped it till it got nice and creamy, and we're going to put that aside now and use it a little bit later. We're going to move that aside. And one of the things that makes this cake so easy is that we're going to use a frozen pound cake. Actually, we're going to use two 10-ounce ones. They work just as good as making them homemade. They're delicious. And these come also in a 16-ounce size, but I'm going to use 2 of the 10-ounce size. Okay. Once the pound cake is thawed, I'm going to take it out of the container and I'm going to cut it in half with a serrated knife horizontally, so what I end up with are 4 layers. So once I have my 4 layers, it's now time to assemble and decorate the cake. That's the really fun part. Okay, once we have the pound cake cut into 4 layers, I'm going to put, I already did this, but I'm going to show you, just going to put a little bit of the strawberry puree on each one of the layers, and make sure that you take a spatula and smooth it till it soaks into the pound cake. Otherwise, the frosting isn't going to stick on there very well. Okay. Then, once that's done, I'm going to go back to the frosting. I'm going to take a little and I'm going to put on top of each layer. I'll show you how I'm going to put one together here real quick. You don't really need to go all the way to the edges, because when the next layer comes along, it's going to squish it to the edges anyway. So next, once the frosting's on each layer, we want to use strawberries and raspberries, black raspberries, to decorate it and make it taste good and look beautiful. I've already sliced about a cup and a half of strawberries. So what we're going to do is we're going to put them all along the edges of the pound cake. And strawberries are just so wonderful this time of the year because they're fresh and they're in season, and they just taste so much better than they do even when we can get them in the winter time. And using the combination of the red and the black raspberries just makes such a beautiful presentation. So once I get this one finished, I'm going to do the same thing with the next layers, and then we'll come back in a minute. One of the great things about using Philadelphia cream cheese for frosting is just the consistency you get when you use it. It's just so much creamier. So now that I have the berries on all of my layers, and make sure you get the blueberries squished down in really well, I'm going to assemble the cake by stacking each layer on top of the other one. Then I'm going to use these little skewers to put down in the middle to hold the cake nice and firm together. Okay. Now, the final layer is going to go on the top, and we're going to decorate it, which is going to be easy and fun, and it's going to be so pretty. Okay, now that the layers are all decorated and stacked on top of each other, we're going to decorate the top. That's the fun part, because it's going to make this cake look really outstanding. So I'll take my frosting. Again, with the Philadelphia cream cheese, the strawberry cream cheese is so good. Oops, I spilled a little. Okay, once I get the frosting on the top, then I'm just going to take a teaspoon, and with the back of a teaspoon, I'm just going to make just little ridges so that it looks like really pretty. And for the final decorations, this is the really fun part. I've just taken some strawberries and I sliced them all the way through, so they look like they're spread out in little fans, because they're really, really pretty to do them that way. And then I'm going to take one of these beautiful black raspberries and put one on each end. And one of my favorite things to garnish with are edible flowers. You can actually go online and they'll give you a chart of all the flowers that are edible, and pansies. They'll also tell you how they taste. But pansies are exceptionally beautiful this time of year, and they're just kind of one of my favorite flowers anyway. So we're going to do just three little pansies. Well, now the last thing I'm going to do to make everybody go wow when they look at this dessert is I'm going to make strawberry whipped cream. And I love gadgets, and my mother, before she died, she always was buying me fun kitchen gadgets, and this is one of my favorite. It's a whipped cream maker, and it's really easy to do. You put really chilled cream inside of it. Then you add, well, you can add all kinds of things, but I'm going to add, about 3 tablespoons of powdered sugar, and a splash of that wonderful strawberry puree that we made earlier. Next, I'm going to show you how this little gadget works. First thing I'm going to do is screw the top on once I have the cold cream and everything inside, the flavorings. Then I'm going to take this little gadget and put the CO2 cartridge in there, which is actually going to be responsible for making the whipped cream. I'm going to drop it in there, then I'm going to screw it on, and if you listen real carefully, listen. That's what was making our whipped cream. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is give it about 10 shakes. And to finish off our beautiful cake, we're going to decorate it with our strawberry whipped cream. And we're going to add a few more little flowers. And there you have it. An absolutely gorgeous, elegant spring and summer dessert. This is a beautiful cake to honor your mother with on Mother's Day. So I'm going to stick it in the fridge, and I'm going to let it set up and get nice and chilled, and then I'll have it ready when the guests arrive. So see you next week. Thanks. Bye.